Beijing targets U.S. consulting firms in anti-spying campaign. DeSantis signs bill to fight CCP influence and bans TikTok. U.S. eyes Mideast-India transport network to counter China's influence. Another new virus, many Chinese have same symptoms but antigen tests show no results.
China has launched an anti-espionage campaign targeting consulting firms. State media have singled out and accused one of these companies of leaking state secrets. The Jiangsu branch of Capvision, a consulting firm based in New York and Shanghai, was visited by state security agents who questioned Capvision employees. As a result, several items were examined and confiscated. According to state television, some companies illegally collect sensitive data through regular contact with people with access to state secrets, primarily working in government agencies and the defense sector. That creates great risks to national security. The consulting firm Bain & Company and the corporate Mintz Group recently confirmed that Chinese authorities had questioned their employees. In addition, an employee of Japanese pharmaceutical manufacturer Astellas Pharma Inc. was also detained. Gabriel Wildau, managing director at advisory firm Teneo Holdings LLC in New York, said, "Foreign companies need to assess whether the work they're doing in China might be viewed as supporting a hostile agenda. Information that on its face doesn't appear sensitive or relevant to national security might be viewed as such if it's used in the context of providing advice in service of an anti-China or pro-decoupling agenda." He suggested that since it's unclear where the red line is, any activity falling within the gray zone should be done outside of China. State broadcaster CCTV reported that several consulting firms, including Capvision, had deliberately selected, lured, and hoaxed experts and scholars in sensitive industries to provide internal information. The growing concern among the business community in China contrasts with Beijing's public messages, pledging that it will be open and will become an anchor for world peace and development, as indicated in Prime Minister Li Qiang's speech recently to attract foreign businesses. Last month, the government passed a new anti-espionage law, expanding the list of activities that could be considered espionage, adding to the risks for foreign companies. Beijing has also moved to tighten controls on sensitive data as tensions with Washington rise. In February 2022, Capvision Partners Shanghai Corp. Filed for an IPO in Hong Kong, but the status was shown as lapsed before the Chinese investigation. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed 3 bills on May 8th, limiting Chinese Communist Party or CCP influence in Florida. During an event held in Brooksville, the governor officially endorsed legislation that bars the CCP and other foreign nations of concern from acquiring agricultural land anywhere in Florida. Additionally, the measure restricts land purchases within a 10-mile radius surrounding critical sites, such as military bases, ports, and power plants. DeSantis stated that these measures will protect the food supply chain because it is a matter of national security. In a series of commendable actions, the governor has taken decisive steps to safeguard the interests and security of state universities and colleges. Under this landmark legislation, state universities and colleges are prohibited from accepting grants or engaging in agreements or partnerships with foreign countries of concern. Furthermore, officials are prohibited from accepting gifts from the CCP or countries deemed concerning. These measures come in addition to Florida's existing ban on Confucius Institutes associated with the Chinese Communist Party, demonstrating a proactive approach to safeguarding academic freedom and integrity. DeSantis said that Florida had one Confucius Institute at Miami-Dade College. It poses as a means of spreading goodwill, but in reality, it's a way to insinuate CCP propaganda on colleges and university campuses. Moreover, the governor has signed a 3rd bill, prohibiting using the popular social media platform Tik Tok within government and educational institutions. By implementing these measures, the Florida government prioritizes the privacy and security of its citizens, ensuring that sensitive information remains protected from unauthorized access. During his speech, he also stressed that trade relations with China threaten U.S. sovereignty. Governor DeSantis said that the COVID pandemic showed the acute dependence of Americans on the Asian giant, and added that almost everything needed for COVID was mainly produced in China. He also pointed out that it is imperative to assert US economic sovereignty and thus bring supply chains back to the country. According to DeSantis, China does not trade with the US, but only dumps its products in the country, and it's very difficult for American companies to access the Chinese market. Because of the CCP's caprice, it is a very unfair trade relationship. In addition, DeSantis said that China steals our copyrights and patents, and no one can defend against that. He concluded his speech by saying the CCP is not wanted in the Sunshine State. Instead, it is desirable to maintain the free state of Florida. As Washington increases its engagement with the Middle East to offset China's influence, it is conducting talks with India, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates regarding a massive transportation infrastructure project. Nikkei Asia reported on May 10th that the project would involve a network of railways connecting Arab and Gulf countries to India via shipping lanes from their ports. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, and Sullivan's Indian and Emirati counterparts discussed this project on May 7th in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. A White House readout said the meeting was to advance their shared vision of a Middle East region more secure and prosperous, interconnected with India and the world. I2U2 is a forum founded in 2021 for India, Israel, the US, and the UAE to discuss infrastructure projects in the Middle East. Saudi Arabia was brought into the forum more recently, and its first summit was held in July 2022. The forum addresses water, energy, transportation, space, health, and food security issues. The U.S. Institute of Peace think tank has likened it to the Quad security grouping of the U.S., Japan, India, and Australia. A part of American strategy for the Middle East is to support infrastructure development, as the U.S. seeks to position Iran as a common threat and promote cooperation between Israel and Arab nations. Saudi Arabia's decision in July 2022 to open its airspace to all civilian aircraft, including Israeli planes, which had previously been prohibited, was in keeping with these efforts. U.S. President Joe Biden praised the decision as an important step towards building a more integrated and stable Middle East region. China mediated the reconciliation between Iran and Saudi Arabia in March, keeping Washington out of the negotiations. Beijing and Riyadh are collaborating more closely on China's Belt and Road Infrastructure Project and Vision 2030, a strategy to lessen Saudi Arabia's dependency on oil. China imports over 70% of its oil, creating conditions for a mutually dependent relationship. While China provides Saudi Arabia with a reliable export market, Beijing views Riyadh as a significant source of the continuous energy supplies it needs to support economic growth. On the other hand, the US places less significance on the Middle East because of the energy independence brought about by the shale boom, which has reduced Riyadh's importance. The focus on human rights under the Biden administration has also strained the ties. On May 5th, the question, "Does the whole country have pharyngitis?" became a hot search on Weibo. Some netizens suspected it was a new strain of the COVID-19 virus, because symptoms of a sore throat were more severe than previously. But their antigen test showed negative for the virus. Some ridiculed, "This is the May 1st virus." Regarding this, many netizens have shared their experiences. Hiwang Jisheng cited some of them as follows. A netizen said, "This is definitely a new strain. I've double-checked and couldn't detect any virus. On April 26th, my throat started to itch, and the pain lasted from April 27th to May 2nd. On May 1st, I started having a runny nose, cough, headache, and dizziness, but no fever or severe cold symptoms. I still have not completely recovered after 10 days. Now, I can't blow my nose or cough up phlegm. I have to speak in a nasal voice. It's so annoying." Others said, "My throat hurts, but I'm not positive for COVID-19. I've had a dry and itchy throat for 6 days. I don't have a fever, but last night my legs and waist were very sore. I tested again and it's not positive. After taking anti-inflammatory drugs for 6 days, my condition got worse. The doctor said my throat was festering. I had to be infused for 3 days and took cephalosporin for a few days. My condition has never been so serious, but I've tested twice and still no positive results. Many netizens reflected that their most obvious symptom is the feeling of something stuck in the throat. Some people have a severe sore throat and fever. I thought it was just me. My throat was very uncomfortable, like a foreign object in it, and I couldn't swallow. I always feel like there's a small object stuck in my throat. No matter how I swallow, I always feel like there's an ulcer in my mouth. I've been coughing for 3 weeks now. The doctor said I have pharyngitis, but taking medicine doesn't make it better. My throat is very itchy. My illness is on the 6th day. Drinking water is like swallowing a needle. I'm unable to eat. I have dizziness, cough, and stomachache. Some netizens said they were infected during the May Day holiday. I just ate barbecue on May 1st and ate a few meals out. On the last night of my holiday, my throat started to feel uncomfortable. I also started having a sore throat on the night of May 1st. My nasal discharge was green. Today, my ears also hurt. What's going on? I always thought I had a sore throat from eating hot pot and too many spicy dishes on May 1st. I had a slight fever on the 2nd. Now, coughing with phlegm and dry cough in the middle of the night. I also have a stuffy and runny nose. Is this really the second wave of COVID? I woke up on May 1st and my throat also started to feel uncomfortable. What's going on with everyone? Many netizens believe it's due to COVID-19 and the government's vaccine is ineffective. I had an itchy respiratory tract and wanted to cough. Then I recovered for 3 days. On the 4th day, I had a fever again. My limbs hurt. Maybe I was positive for COVID. Stop talking. This is COVID-19. There are positive cases around me again. Vaccines are completely useless. Its technology is not even up to date. I've had enough doses of vaccines, but I was still infected, once last December and once in May this year.